prep schools aren't great for football. Yeah, you get to go to like Don Bosco.
They're not going to teach you fundamentals.
No, they're there to win championships.
Right, but it needs to start at a young age and develop fundamentals. That's where we're going to see the long-term change in this number. But it starts. Well, it needs to be driven by the studies that the NFL is conducting and needs to continue to conduct, whether it's the NFL or an outside party that's doing this.
Right. And you also...
But the NFL should be the spearhead.
Absolutely. There's no argument there. It is the prime sport to be able to seize this opportunity.
But do you see what the NFL's problem is, though? Is how far is too far? How far do they have to go to do whatever they need to do without affecting the game? Because they don't want to affect the game.
Well, the game's already being affected. This 20% decrease is the beginning. And if they don't do something to address this right now, that increase... That decrease is going to accelerate.
And I understand that it's affecting who who decides to play, but when will it have to start affecting the rules of the game?
That I don't know that we will. Well, like I said, the one rule that I think should be instituted is the targeting. So I think
I don't disagree with that.
I think that's
if it is a malicious intent hit where you're leading at somebody's head
and you're leaving your feet.
I'm not saying a guy with his hands up thinking he's going to swat a pass and then tap someone in the face.
No,
if you are going untouched,
like the Vontae's perfect hits
with your head and you're going
kind of like
for charging
in hockey. You know, when you're premeditated, you're just looking to wreck someone's whole day, and if you can do that cleanly into their chest, that's fine. But if you go into their head, then
so the head should be avoided at all costs.
You get 2 shots, right, and then you're ejected from
No, targeting it's 1.
In college football, it's
targeting
is 1. Quite frankly, targeting in football, it may have a hard time passing to the Players Association, but if it's a rule, there's nothing they can do about it. I could see. I mean, at the very least, I'd even take them giving a warning, and then the second when you're gone from the game and you're suspended 1 game.
You already get the 2 unsportsmanlike gets you out for the rest of the game.
I almost see it as like a yellow card, red card situation.
Yeah, that's a good. That's a good comparison.
And you've been warned. If you do this again,
it should hold over to the next couple
at
of
least, at least the next game.
Yeah,
and it should be that you lose your game check.
Yeah.
So that you have to have a real.
You have to hit these people in where it counts for them, and that's in the money.
That's the money. Yep.
And speaking of money, that's where the NFL is going to really start feeling it, because who is the best marketed person that the NFL has? Not in terms of most effective, but the most important. Odell Beckham with his $25 million Nike deal, or is it Tom Brady, who's the greatest of all time? I'm going to make an argument that it was John Urschel. Why? Because the whole image of football is these guys are dumb jocks. What is John Urschel? He's an MIT doctoral candidate.
Yeah.
Right.
He was bringing intelligence back to football, and he retired.
Well, smart people tend to do that, unless you're really bad, and then you Ryan Fitzpatrick yourself.
Yeah. Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick was there to play football.
Yeah, he's there to have 1 good year so he gets a contract. That's what Fitzpatrick's whole life has been. Let me perform really good this year so I get a contract, and then, I'll mail it in.
Well, no, I mean, at Harvard.
I was going to say, did you know that Ryan Fitzpatrick went to Harvard? Because they always say that at any game that he plays.
Yeah, he went to Harvard to play football,
they
not
have
because
to find
the guy's
something
smart.
good to say about Fitzpatrick.
He's got a nice beard.
He aced the Wonderlicht.
Yeah, so anyways, I think one last thing about CTE, then we're going to switch to another controversial topic. So the last question, what do you think, and you, Dan, being a Jets fan, I want to definitely get your opinion, about Jamal Adams saying that he would quote-unquote die on the field?
Well, that was...
How stupid. Yeah, I know he clarified it and said it's about passion. But, that's the same thing as, Ray Nagin saying, you know how you make chocolate? You take the dark cocoa powder, you take the white milk, mix it together, you got a chocolatey drink. We know that's not what you meant, Ray Nagin. We know you didn't mean that. But that's... I just...
It's a lapse in judgment. It's a young kid. I mean, he was.
Yeah, I don't think he literally means he's ready to die on the field.
In the wake of the
I think it was a reaction to all this, criticism of the sport that he lives and loves. And it does kind of show that the NFL and the NCAA do need to, I think, do a better job of
intelligence.
Exactly.
That right there, intelligence. Make these people go through a class. Like, I don't know.
The same way that they do a conduct class, they should be doing a class for the incoming rookies and freshmen about the dangers of potential CTE later on in life and what it's done to some of the best football players that we've had.
But I also think that, like we're saying, these classes of talking about public speaking and kind of picking your battles and whatnot definitely has to come up in this topic too, because, like we said, it could have been as simple as him saying because he was passionate and he's a rookie. He just came into the league. He's having his first interactions with the media. He wants to sound tough, and he's like, "I die in this field," not knowing that he has all this backstory with CTE. I mean, he obviously knows about CTE, but he didn't realize how his simple comments could affect a topic that he's being asked directly about. Not knowing that. So, I mean, ask him maybe in 5 years when he has some kids and a wife.
I have a better way to say that. Well, with all this CTE information that's coming out, that's still a risk I'm willing to take.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right.
That's a better way to say it.
Answer from somebody, but I mean,
on the spot.
On the spot.
You're not an
in your
18-year-old
first training
kid.
camp. You want to make an image, and you're just like, "Yeah, I'll die on this field for you."
Exactly.
It's like you want the fans to be like,
hyperbole.
Yeah. And then he's like, "Oh no, this was about CTE though." Oh no.
But anyway,
the Jets were probably thrilled. They're like, "Oh, they're not talking about Hackenberg anymore." So
the Jets are just like, "Oh, it won't be our fans killing themselves. It'll be the players for once."
But so. I don't know if this is still a thing, but if
I can say that because I'm a Jets fan.
It's allowed.
If you're going to be, I believe it's Division I only, or maybe it's all NCAA. If you are on scholarship to play NCAA sports, at least at the Division I level, you had to go through an NCAA class before you got to school. Like, they did it in my high school. They did it like the end of football season, and then if you're going for football, or the end of basketball season if you're going to play basketball. So they have the class. They could just add another one.
Yeah, right. And they should make it like not just like them watching a video on it. Like, they should have former players come and speak with them. They should possibly go and observe
well,
they do have rookie summits when they do have Chris Carter coming in and
but they're not talking.
That's
about
where
CTE.
we got the whole But we're not just talking about CTE here though. We're talking about this comments.
How to keep yourself safe.
Yeah, how to keep yourself safe. But also, we're in this conversation. We're talking about how someone young coming into the league is going to have to deal with the league and getting questioned by the media, and having to pick your words wisely is also something that.
Well, I think at the entrance to the NCAA, it would be more important in my mind for the CTE versus the media stuff, because the media attention can be big for certain college players, but I feel like it's worse once they hit the NFL.
Let me ask you really quickly: in the state of Florida, who do you think gets more media coverage? The Buccaneers, Dolphins, and Jaguars, or the Hurricanes, Gators, and Seminoles?
Right, but that's why it's
the Hurricanes, Gators, and Seminoles.
It's got to be a localized type of thing. When you're going to one of the biggest college schools,
it's not the Florida fans' fault that the pro teams are poop.
Hey, they got Cutler now in Miami. He's a threat.
And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But
I'm just interested to see what developments take place, because this is exactly what should be happening with this. Is people discussing it and it being out there.
Yeah, the attention needs to be applying pressure on the NFL.
This has only been here for 15 years where it's been brought to the public's eye as far as a doctor saying that he's seen this in the brain. So already we've seen movement in this. I'm interested to just see where is this going to be in 15 years from now.
Right.
In double the time. Where will we be? What has changed? Has the sport changed? Has it become safer? Has numbers gone down? Are we losing talent to it? It's going to be an interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But what needs to happen is this kind of conversation.
Absolutely, And on that note, we're going to end this conversation.
Nice.
We're going to move on to the next topic. Before we do, I just want to, mention a couple of quick headlines. So, sorry, Dan, but Quincy Enunwa is out for the season.
That stinks.
Hopefully, it's just the season. Neck injuries, bulging discs.
I know,
that's
I don't
that's
like neck
bad
injuries at all.
stuff. A neck injury in any sport is almost as lethal as a knee injury to a big man in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That is it. And, being a fan of the Cowboys, Romo, year after year after year, had neck injury. Peyton Manning, luckily, was able to avoid serious neck injury a second time.
Yeah.
But Quincy Enunwa, as much as I dislike the Jets, the kid is magnificent. He's only getting better. The one you were saying when we were talking about it a little earlier, that you were worried about, his development and progression. Yeah. He's developing on the field with reps. He didn't have a leader in the locker room, and he was developing. So you're not going to have to worry about that. His development is going to come the more plays he runs. So he's going to be halted a little bit, but he's going to pick right up where he left off.
Right. My main concern was as a number one, because this year was really where he was going to be it.
Because there was no number one. They don't have a number one. They have a number two.
They don't have wide receivers now.
Yeah, Robbie Anderson's pretty good.
He's still pretty green, and not just because he's a Jet, but because he's young and untested.
Was it Ardarius Stewart?
Huh?
Ardarius Stewart?
Again, nothing to write home about.
But developing.
So and that's going to be
Have
bad
you
news
ever had either of those
any
guys
Jets
on any
quarterback.
fantasy team you've ever had?
I had Quincy.
I'm not talking
As a
Quincy.
flex.
I'm talking about who's left.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
But-
so that's a problem. That's concerning.
And that's bad for any potential quarterback, because even if there was
now it doesn't
small
matter
chance,
how good bad Hackenberg is. He doesn't know who to throw.
No.
Who's he going to throw to?
Because if they get one of the three, and I honestly believe the top 10 in next year's draft, you'll have at least 6 quarterbacks drafted.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah,
we're going to get into that just in the conference.
Maybe
we're
it will
talking
be a
about,
blessing in
it's so
disguise.
QB
Maybe it's the best way that the Jets will tank.
Well, no, I'm saying once they get a Rosen, a Falk, a Darnold, or Josh Allen, or Baker Mayfield, or Mason Rudolph,
You said enough names.
whoever.
Where are you going?
we
with
get
this?
it. You
They're
know college
going-
football quarterbacks.
No, there are going to be wide receivers who are going to say, I want to play with him. He plays the way I play. I want Mason Rudolph to throw me the ball.
Yeah,
I'm going to
maybe.
go to the Jets. It's going to happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe this will result in the Jets getting a franchise quarterback.
It might take a year. Alshon Jeffrey went to the Eagles
Yes,
because
but-
he liked the way
but
Carson
you're
Wentz
also talking
plays.
about a diluted pond. There's going to be, you just listed off how many guys, 6 or 7 guys?
Yeah.
That's going to be across the league. And you think that all of them are going to be like, ooh, the Jets.
No.
Well, if
no.
the Jets get the one that's, the next...
Yeah, but there was 7 of them that may be starting on any given team. So
Maybe they're all going to be the next Brady's, and this is going to be a new era of QB domination. In
we'll
football.
see.
going to be.
The good news is the Jets will at least address their biggest issue next year. They will have plenty of opportunity to do that and have a plethora to choose from, whichever one fits their need the most.
Anyways, this wasn't meant to be a Jets discussion.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Sterling Shepard gets hurt for the Giants. Could be bad. We don't know. The
Ankle
biggest
sprain, we'll see.
biggest issue for the Giants is they still don't have a left tackle. But the story that we're really going to be focusing on is Jay Cutler to the Dolphins.
What about Anquan Bolden?
Oh yeah, Anquan Bolden to the Bills. I was going to mention that.
That's a good
Forgot.
move.
Yeah, he committed to the Bills, decommitted, committed again.
Hey,
He's a good receiver.
Yeah, when we let go of Robert Woods and he signs for bigger money than we were paying him, and we're going to get someone that had better production than him and pay $2.75 million. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, not
If
too
anything, Anquan Bolden is nothing but consistent.
Yep.
Yeah,
He just goes out and does
And
the
it-
same thing.
even
He's
if he
gonna be
doesn't.
doing it for a while, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think he's
older,
gonna-
But I think he's
Yeah.
got some.
What, he had
mileage.
like
He was
67
considered-
receptions for like 8 touchdowns last season.
He was considering
Over
retiring.
500
Wants
yards.
he wants to get with his family. He was almost done with football, but decided he wanted to play for the the Bills this season. So I think this might be his last season. Anyways,
possibly.
Jay Cutler, the $10 million man in my